Turtles are so unique in the sense that they don't mature sexually at a young age like a lot of other animals do. And so depending on the species of turtle and depending on their total lifespan, they can reach their sexual maturity anywhere between 6 years and even about 20 years of age. And so what that means is that for every turtle that we lose, it could possibly take 20 years before we have another female that can replace that turtle as far as continuing the population. And so it's really, really important that we really try and save turtles so that we don't have losses in our populations. Something else that they really do struggle with is the fact that what actually determines the gender of a turtle is the temperature in the nest where their egg is. And so with climate change and things like that, if we have a lot of nests that are laid that are really warm, that will result in a lot of female turtles, versus nests that are laid that are a little bit cooler in cooler areas will result in males. And ideally, we want a nest that will result in both. And it does happen sometimes where the eggs on the bottom of the nest will be a bit cooler, and those near the top, closer to the surface and getting a bit more warmth from the sun, will actually result in females. And so that's the ideal situation where we can have a bit of both. But because turtles do mature at such a late age, we need to make sure to save them. And people also don't realize how long turtles live, and it really does depend on the species. Some of the common ones that we have here in the Sudbury area, such as the painted turtles, snapping turtles, and Blanding's turtles, generally they'll reach their sexual maturity anywhere between 14 and 16 years of age, and they can actually live upwards of 80 or more years. And so we need to make sure that we are keeping these individuals in the population because they are the ones that are carrying the population forward. In general, any animal that has been a pet is not going to be able to really take care of itself once it's released. And so they won't be able to find their own food, certainly won't be able to defend themselves from any sort of predators because they've never had to. Red-eared sliders in particular, we have to remember that they are from Florida and Georgia in the southeastern United States. And so they don't experience winters naturally the way that we do here in Canada. So that's a big problem, is the fact that they don't really understand how to overwinter and how to be able to slow their bodies down in order to survive through the winters. And so that's the first reason why it's really important not to release a pet turtle into any of our lakes or water systems here in Canada. The other thing to remember with red-eared sliders is that the parasites and germs that they have in their bodies are different than what the painted turtles have here in Canada. And even though painted turtles are a very distant cousin of the red-eared sliders, they don't have the same abilities to fight off some of these germs that the red-eared sliders will bring to the ecosystem. And so it's really important that we don't release red-eared sliders, because not only will they harm the painted turtles just by the composition and things that are in their bodies, but also sometimes they can be a little bit aggressive when it comes to trying to find food or trying to find shelter. And they have been known to outcompete painted turtles in some environments. Now, I did mention earlier that they don't have the ability to really survive many winters here in Canada. However, scientists have found a small population of red-eared sliders that does manage to survive the winters in the Toronto area, because winters generally down there are not quite as cold. And so it has been noted that red-eared sliders have been surviving a few winters, and also they have been trying to breed with our painted turtles. Now, we're not really sure about the viability of any offspring, should any be created, but it's still something that is competing with our native species here. And we certainly don't want to release our pets into the wild, think that they're going to survive forever and be happy, then they end up either not being able to survive, or they've now contributed to damaging the ecosystem for our native turtles.